Masters of the Universe.
No thanks.
Thank you. No thanks. Media franchise from Mattel. First came to the screen, I think the first time. I should point out at the beginning that what I know or indeed care about Masters of the Universe is fairly small. So if I get any of these details wrong, forgive me. I'm a 63-year-old man, all right? I think the first live-action adaptation was the 80s version, which had Frank is he Langella or Langella? Langella as Skeletor and Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. So now we have a reboot, which incidentally features a cameo callback in which the torch is passed to the next generation. This time, we have Nicholas Galitzine as the central He-Man, starring alongside, and get this for the cast, Idris Elba, Camilla Mendes, Alison Brie, James Purefoy, Kristen Wiig, and as Skeletor, Jared Leto, or as Skeletor, Jared Leto, if we're going to do the pronunciation game. The funny thing about this was I got a message from Simon Brew, he of Film Stories, saying that he thought that Masters of the Universe was the first Jared Leto-proof movie because it is perfectly possible to watch Masters of the Universe without ever recognizing that it's Jared Leto because he doesn't have his face and his voice doesn't sound like him. So anyway, that's a good thing, incidentally. So the story starts in Eternia, where sensitive Prince Adam is transported to Earth after an attack by the forces of darkness, and he's transported through a wormhole, holding on to the Sword of Power, which he loses in the process. Cut forward 15 years, Dorky Cheesecake Adam, played by Nicholas Galitzine, is working in human resources in an office, whilst still attempting to find his lost sword, and at the same time simultaneously workshopping team building exercises. Of what he thinks might be the sword then turns up in a Forbidden Planet style story. If you've ever been to one of the Forbidden Planet things, comics, figures, characters, all that kind of stuff. And so now, once he's found this sword, he is reconnected with the old world of Eternia and must now join forces with the heroes that he left behind to fight Skeletor, Jared Leto, or Skeletor, Jared Leto, and to become the He-Man that his father always wanted him to be, a muscle man in a leather skirt. Here is a clip.
Can you come help me with this? Whoa.
It is quite heavy, so if you could just...
Oh my God, yeah. So, how does it feel to be the mighty warrior?
All things considered, I feel pretty great.
Not quite sure what happened to my shirt, though. Where are my pants? Do those come back, or I have to buy a new pair every time?
So, look, that's basically the tone of it. So he suddenly turned into He-Man with the thing, and then, where are my trousers? Or pants, as they say. So this film has been a long time coming. There was a sequel was planned to the 1980s film. It was dropped. It was then, the idea was picked up again sometime in 2009. There were multiple iterations of what they were going to do. I think various people were going to star in it. The Nee brothers were announced as, the Nee brothers were announced as directors and co-writers. Then the rights went to various, I think Netflix and then Amazon, and then Travis Knight came on board, and then Nicholas Galitzine ended up getting... Anyway, so it's been going on for ages. It's one of those things that just kept turning up in the trade. So now, the final film, as we have it now, credited as directed by Travis Knight, written by Chris Butler, Aaron Nee, Adam Nee, and Dave Callahan, from a story by the Nees, Alex Litvak, and Michael Finch. So Uncle Tom Cobley and all. The tone is essentially playful, colourful, lots of silly costumes, lots of silly characters, brought to life through a mixture of pantomime dress-up and shonky CG. And I should say that the shonkiness of the CG is particularly remarkable considering the massive amount of money that this cost. I mean, it's somewhere between 170 and $200 million. And you go, okay, but it is still pretty ropey. The thing is, the whole tone of the film is so unserious. It's like a kind of camp pantomime that in a way, the shonky CG sort of like, well, of course the shonky CG is rubbish because the whole thing is it's a camp pantomime, and nobody really cares whether that weird tiger, lion, funny creature looks like it's in the real world or whether it's just completely CG generated. The primary joke of it all is that the central character is a dork who specializes in group therapy and, touchy-feely, all that sort of stuff, but then discovers that he needs to specialize in being a big butch He-Man wearing the leather skirt and smashing things with his sword of power. So he talks like he walked out of a Bill and Ted movie, but he romps around like, Arnold or like Dolph Lundgren. And the gag is the disconnect between the sword and sorcery environment and the dialogue, which sounds like it's out of a different film. And, some of the set pieces are smashy fun. Some of them are bargain basement sub-Star Wars dogfights. Many of them remind you how much better films were when people had to build sets and models rather than do things with CG. I mean, it is essentially a load of colourful nonsense. It's closer in tone to kind of Super Mario than it is to a superhero movie. And it's made with little enough commitment to any form of seriousness that it makes the most recent Wonder Woman movies look like now Voyager. On the plus side, I do think that Nicholas Galitzine has got dorky charm. And as I said before, and as Simon Brew pointed out, Jared Leto is unrecognizable. And it is perfectly possible to watch the movie and not realize that you're watching a Jared Leto movie, which is why I think Simon used that phrase. On the downside, it's at least 90 minutes too long. I mean, there's no film this flimsy needs to be 140 minutes long. It's just silly. And it's so jam-packed with colorful explosions that nothing ever actually packs a punch. That said, I did laugh a few times. When we were waiting in the foyer beforehand, they were doing, because the soundtrack it's Daniel Pemberton. It's got contributions from Brian May, and then there's the darkness involvement. So everything is it's just like, let's just throw everything at it. Let's just throw absolutely everything at it, and every sort of 2 or 3 minutes make a joke about, isn't this ridiculous? I can't find my trousers. That's basically it. It's a lot of money to spend to make that joke. But I think it is the best Jared Leto movie since he got Huey Lewis and the Newsed in American Psycho.
There's a guy called Ed Hyde. I think this was on Blue Sky.
Okay.
Who said, I can't wait to hear what Kermode and Mayo make of this. And he's photoshopped, or he's copied this from X. Okay. So where obviously you and I don't go anymore. Yes. But Max from Quebec is on X. And he says, it is with intense sorrow and deep regret that I must report to you that Jared Leto gives his best performance of his career in this movie. So, is Max from Quebec correct? Is that right?
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. As I said, I mean, it really is one of those things in which you could because even the voice doesn't sound sort of Jared Leto-y. I know that we have to say Leto because I know this has been pointed out, but I'm just not going to start doing that. I literally listening to the voice at one point and thinking, who on earth does that sound like? And I realized that he sounds like Jermaine Clement. So it's almost like you're watching an animated skull with the voice of Jermaine Clement, but it turns out to be Jared Leto.